Today we're talking about something that's on the mind of every business leader and IT professional: application modernization. Our guest today is Jonathan Davidson, a cloud solutions architect and customer engineer from Google. Jonathan helps companies move from the old to the new, transforming their legacy systems into nimble, powerful, and secure applications. His expertise spans cloud infrastructure, application modernization, and open source technologies, and he's passionate about translating complex technical concepts into business outcomes. We'll explore why the shift to the latest cloud systems is more than just a technical upgrade. It's a fundamental change that can unlock new revenue streams, improve customer experiences, and future-proof the business. From the why to the how, we'll get an insider's perspective on the journey to the cloud and what it takes to build a truly modern enterprise. Let's get stuck in. So we've had a bit of a formal introduction of who you are. What's something you can tell us about yourself that might surprise people?
Yeah, so as you probably know, I've been at Google for 5 years now. The interesting thing is that for the first year and a half, I had no contact with folks at the office. We weren't allowed to be anywhere near the office, and I couldn't even meet my manager, which was quite an interesting thing. So last 3.5 years, finally, we got together, and things are back to normal now. So.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things about COVID. You kind of forget what it was like during lockdown.
Yes, the company had to quickly adapt. So really switching to online mode, if everything became meet online, virtual, courses needed to be completely rethought. Typically when you joined the company, you went on an orientation, you would go travel, you would go meet the team, you would go and understand how the company works, but they had to change that very, very quickly. And I think, a lot of people probably remember that time, but for me, I remember being a huge shift, especially in my career.
And it's an interesting thing as well, like a company like Google, you would think, oh, everything is so online already, but there's still, all of these processes that were very much in person.
We still work like every other company. There are still things in the back office that we need to do. It's the same thing, same troubles and toils that a lot of customers and a lot of companies out there have, yes, for sure.
Sure, very interesting. I also joined SIFT during COVID, actually, or in the second year of COVID. So it wasn't full lockdown, but it was also a strange time to join a company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
So maybe we can dive into our topic for today, which basically the why of application modernization.
Yes.
So from your perspective, working at Google, what does application modernization really mean, and why is it so crucial for organizations today?
So we like to think of application modernization as a way for companies to move a lot faster. It really comes down to agility. So often I'll have a conversation, my first conversation with customers, to talk to them about how do they get from an idea to something that sits in production quickly. Right? How long does it typically take? Right? And we'll get different answers from different companies depending on what their maturity is. Right? But what it comes down to is how quickly and reliably we can move through that process, because in today's world the competition is there, right? So a good example of this is the scale at which Google develops our products and the scale at which we have reach across the globe. So for those folks who are familiar with containerization, Google releases about 4 billion of these every week.
Oh, wow.
And the only way we can do that is to have a modern approach to application. So we like to think about breaking down software, breaking down components into a way that we can effectively move a lot faster. That's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, and I suppose, as you said, the competition's out there. So if people aren't moving faster than their competition, they're going to be left behind.
I mean, that's sort of some of the essence to cloud as well, right? Being able to automate a lot, as well as being able to scale. So it's also a topic when we talk about being able to be elastic or to scale up and down according to the demand out there. So it becomes sort of a business decision. What often happens is companies have certain applications that we need to plan for the rainy day, right? So we scale up our applications, but we don't necessarily need that, all the time. Yeah. This is a common thing we talk about when it comes to cloud, being able to elastically scale. But you cannot do that without adopting cloud native or a different, a modern approach to building applications. Traditional applications, we think about maybe in the insurance industry, we talk about claims, we talk about banking applications. These were developed on mainframes, and they were these what we call monolithic type applications. Yeah. They can scale by adding compute, but they're not very dynamic. They don't lend themselves well to today's online web digital sort of world where things need to move a lot faster. We like to think that we want to experiment a lot more. So that's sort of where a lot of this is coming from, what we're driving to in terms of application modernization.
That makes sense. And I think a lot of the legacy systems, they were obviously built in a different time where the requirements were different and you didn't have everything online.
That's true. I think, if you think about a bank, for instance, you had folks, tellers, clerks, they were connected to a mainframe.
Yeah.
Right. And they did a lot of data processing, capturing. There wasn't a lot in terms of apps or reaching out to customers. There wasn't a lot when it came to doing data analysis and targeting particular. So it was a very structured, very set sort of paradigm that we dealt with back then. Things are obviously changed with consumers and what we want today.
Every bank has a banking app now. You log in, you expect customer service on the app.
Well, it's gone further than that. I mean, you have a lot of applications now where it's giving you banking advice. So knowing who you are as a customer, I can actually give you, based on your position in life, actual advice as opposed to just giving you the ability to make payments or so there's that added service. And how do you do that? You need to be able to adapt to the changing times, shall I say.
Yeah, it makes sense. And many businesses are obviously still running on these legacy systems. What are the biggest risks that they're facing if they don't modernize their applications?
I think from two aspects. I think one of the obvious ones that we're seeing is around security, that it's becoming harder and harder for companies to manage legacy approaches to security. The other would be data silos. So having data live in an application that's specific for that application doesn't lend itself well to getting, I just mentioned to you, so if we wanted a holistic view of a customer, you might have 3 or 4 different systems where you're getting customer data, but it's very difficult to get it out of those legacy systems. So you're essentially creating these silos. How do you, the question becomes, how do you get this data and what do you do with it?
And how do you bring it all together?
Exactly. We talk about the 360 thing, at Google, one of the big things from a cloud perspective, when we're talking to prospective customers, is how we're going to make sense of that data for you in achieving what you want to as a business, whether you're a bank, insurer, or a retailer. That is almost gold that a lot of companies sit on that don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, like they have a lot of data that they could actually be using, but they don't know how to use it.
Exactly. And if you think about now AI, so the agentic age now, you're training capabilities, you're training models. Those models need a lot of data. If you're going to get the model right, you're going to need to get that data from somewhere, and that's the challenge. Often, I've been on plenty of projects in my career, where the idea of writing new functionality wasn't the problem. It was actually the integration into the back end and how we extracted that actually took the most amount of time. And companies often struggle with that, and especially companies that have a long history of systems. They're competing with folks who don't have this technical debt of having legacy systems. So some of the challenges that we face and that we try and solve for is being able to access these and still maintain these legacy systems while still being able to compete with some of the new players out there, the digital natives, as we like to call them.
So you're kind of maintaining what they already have and trying to migrate it over.
Yes. So if you take some of these regulated industries, I'll go back to banking or insurance. There's certain things, certain processes that will stay the same. If you think about accounting, general ledgers, they're not going to change much.
Yeah.
Right. So keep that system going. But what we call systems of engagement, these could be applications, apps. This could be your AI assistant that helps you with your financial well-being. Those things change very rapidly, and you want to innovate there.
Yes.
Right? So helping customers keep and leverage their existing investments is always a key. And this is also comes to a trade-off, right? So if customers like to think, well, how do we move to the cloud? They're faced with a choice. Do we lift and shift? And often that's not a great idea, because one, you're not taking advantage of what cloud can offer. You're just taking your application and putting it there, and it's going to be more expensive if you run it that way.
Yeah.
Another one would be to start modernizing it, but that modernization takes effort. Or you could buy something off the shelf. So, you get a lot of these software as a service out there, where, what you buy is you buy a packaged piece of software, and then you improve on it with, whatever your company aims to do to differentiate themselves. So these are some of the things that, we go on this journey with the customer and try and build a business case, whether cloud makes sense, whether it doesn't. What do they do application by application?
And it's finding the right fit for each business.
It is. I, on a day-to-day basis, evaluate what makes sense for customers. Where could they save money? It comes down to saving money, making money, or staying out of trouble. Those are the three things, a business is going to look at. So when we say stay out of trouble, we mean stay in regulations. Maybe regulations dictate certain things like where data lives. Making money, this could be, new functionality, an AI assistant, and saving money. You could be improving on internal business processes, making things a lot more efficient, using things like AI to maybe improve a business process. Maybe, you're doing loan applications, you introduce AI who can, for the most part, process these applications, that can understand the documents, understand potential frauds situations, and bring the human in when there's an exception.
And when you need to review.
So that's the cost, maybe on a cost-saving perspective. So these are the things you typically evaluate, when moving and building a business case to moving to a cloud environment, or in general, moving to a more modern application.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I guess when you first sit with a customer who's looking to modernize, you will kind of say, these are the three pillars, or maybe you pick one that is more relevant to them.
Often the question, we put aside the question of the actual move, and we say, well, what do you folks want to achieve? Those, as we mentioned, like those three pillars there. What is it that you want to achieve? And then we will say, well, based on the merits of each of your applications, or your systems, or the capabilities of your staff, right? So that's another thing. You might have a skill set gap. So there you need to kind of build the picture and motivate for change.
A skill set gap that you think could be filled by something like AI, or how do you see that?
Well, I think if you think about some of these so-called legacy systems, so traditional banks who may still have these mainframe systems, you don't get the skills anymore to write things like COBOL. Trust me, that we have banks that still continue to use these very robust core systems, but finding the skills out there is a challenge. So
that makes sense.
So what would a move mean for them? And then, do we have the skill set? Maybe we're writing something in Java, or something in a particular framework. Where we going to source that? Where we're going to source that knowledge or that skill base from? Yes, AI can help. It can help from a speed perspective. It can help from a consistency. Making sure that you write robust code. But you're still going to need folks kind of architecting this thing and understanding what the code output is going to be. We've got a lot of customers who are making use of code assistants to do what they need to do. And actually, we were talking a little bit earlier on about this, where our CEO mentioned on our most recent results call that over 30% of new code at Google is written by AI, right? So that just means that we are just upping the bar in terms of what functionality we can bring out, and that lifts everybody else up. It also pushes people to ensure what they are doing from a skills perspective is up to standard. So being able to leverage these tools is super, super important.
Yeah, and I think it makes things much more, well, hopefully efficient,
yes.
faster.
Yeah, if we look at in the software world, you have the software development lifecycle, and as I mentioned at the beginning, you want that to be as quick as possible and as automated as possible, but also as error-free prone as possible as well. So you want to be able to recover quickly.
Yes.
And this is where we're finding from an efficiency perspective where AI is coming in on. It's able to check your code for security, for bugs. It's able to do a lot more scenario tests, but also, while you are running your application, it's able to pick up things that may be out of the ordinary and sort of adjust to it. So that could be quite scary, but it's where we're kind of moving today.
This podcast is brought to you by Sift Analytics. Sift Analytics is an interactive and collaborative financial reporting tool that helps you generate beautiful reports, forecasts, and consolidations in just a few clicks. Sift helps you increase revenue, reduce costs, save time, and look professional. It is also enhanced by AI-powered insights that help you go from data to decisions in no time. Want to find out more? Visit our website at siftanalytics.com to start a 14-day free trial today. On the note of things that can be quite scary, I know for a lot of businesses, application modernization can be quite a daunting project. Yes. They can see it as this, mammoth task. And you've mentioned all the reasons they should do it, but do you have sort of strategies that you would typically recommend to get them started on this journey?
Yeah, so, right. You've got, firstly, when you do application modernization, we always think about what is a technology process in people, those things, right? Understand how the company's teams are structured. Understand perhaps what sort of technology they're using and what sort of processes they typically go through. So traditional companies will often be less agile, and we're going to need to do some kind of a change management, right? So we often pick a small, easy, what we call the low-hanging fruit. If we want to modernize something, or we want to move something to a cloud-native architecture, let's start slow, where you go through the motions, because you're not only just changing the application, you're actually changing of how that application is going to be developed. This is how, from a Google perspective, we engage. We don't just look at the final outcome. We look at how you got there.
Yes.
And we pinpoint areas and how we can change. We can make it faster. We can automate. We can put tools in place. So to get back to the original question, it's really about picking something that you can go through the full motions, that's fairly straightforward to do, low risk, and then iterate. We often, you build a capability or a so-called factory where you run through these things and the folks get to grips with a new way of working, because these things could very much disrupt people.
Yes.
In the organization. Yes.
I think that's also the thing. I mean, obviously, we're talking about the technology a lot, but if you're thinking about a company, it's the people who work there, and you get used to doing things in a certain way.
Absolutely.
And I've even found this. Suddenly something changes, you're using a new application, and you're like, but I remembered how to do it that way, and I'm used to doing it that way, and now I have to change everything. And I don't know, even for people, I think, who say they're quite good with change management can be hard.
Yeah, change management is a discipline and a whole world on its own. You get project management, and then following that is change management and organization. Something I'm not an expert on. I've gone, like yourself, I've gone through multiple stages in my career where we've had to learn something new. It's just... it takes you out of your comfort zone, and managing that should be a small thing. It should not be a big bang to change a lot of things, but you need to trade that off with being left behind as well.
Yes, but I think that makes sense that you would start with the sort of low-hanging fruit. Once you've shown, look how much better this is, then you can start to implement in other ways.
Yes, so if you've gone through it, you maybe have a small set of people who can form a team, start to experiment with an area, understand where the pitfalls might be and the challenges might be, because they will know how teams currently operate.
Yes.
So the gotchas, oh yes, this is what's going to change. I've been through this myself, where the whole software development cycle completely changed, and how we as a team operated. Once we were so responsible for writing code, someone else is going to go and test the code for you. Someone writes the requirements. Today, you're responsible for a lot more than that, because there are tools in place to automate a whole bunch of things. So the expectation on teams and on individuals has grown, especially with AI coming into the mix.
Yeah.
To kind of assist you. The expectation on you has grown, and with our organization at Google, we've been told to do more with AI, to become scrappier, to use the tools. So productivity needs to increase.
Similar thing we've been told at SIFT. So I was wondering if you could maybe take me through a real world example of how you've helped a company move through this process and what some of the challenges were.
Sure. So a few years ago, I was involved with an insurer. and they wanted to change the way they did claims processing. Typically, they would use a broker network. They didn't really have a direct business, and they wanted to change that. So we were tasked to figure out what actually made sense for this 100-year-old insurance company. How could we make them a client-facing organization, direct to market?
Oh, wow.
So they typically used to use the traditional broker
Yes.
based way. Things were changing in the market. You got direct insurers, and this sort of changed the game. So they wanted to create a whole new business division, which went directly to markets, right? So we started to talk to them about the existing platforms, where the gaps were. Could you create, this would involve a new digital channel. So whether it be through a web page or an app or so on, they didn't have any of this sort of stuff. But they had a bulletproof claims platform, which had been written many, many, many years before. So we essentially built something on top of it. We would leverage the existing platform,
Right.
but and understand the new business processes, and build something on top of this, some new technology. Now, bringing that into the organization was a change. Nobody had skills when it came to front end and apps and how quickly we could do apps. So we needed to kind of bring in firstly, we brought in tech to be able to do this claims processing, business processing and automation. But we also needed to bring in a capability where we would help you help yourself. So we would help upskill you. There was a lot of resistance at first. You could imagine people very comfortable with older technologies.
Yes.
And so we kind of took them through that process. So it was a long sort of journey, but it was successful in the end. Working closely with customers, just understanding their processes and that whole change management.
Yeah, that is a
Hope that
massive
makes
change.
sense.
Yes, that does make sense. Going to finish off with some rapid fire questions for you now. So tradition on the podcast. What's
Yes.
one piece of software that you would recommend?
Well, we've recently at Google internally used something called Agentspace. Right, so and this was one of those change management things. Getting used to, instead of we'd search for information. Now we're using agents to do this for us. So think of it as, if you know Gemini or
Yes.
these, but being able to access your business systems.
Okay.
So as a user, I can go and ask, and it will go and integrate into all of our back-end systems because it knows how to connect. This is something that is like, if I need to get pricing out quickly, it'll quickly understand what my request is and figure it out, go into our back-end systems, and saves me a ton of time.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yes.
I'll go check it out. And if people were to take away just one thing from today's episode, what would you want it to be?
I would think, if we're thinking about the world of modernization and that step, I would think, just trying to start small, right, and go through the ropes, tread that path, and start to get a comfort feel for things like new technologies, whether it be AI, whether it be cloud. And similar. But if we're thinking about application modernization and that comfort level, I think it would be, one thing is to take that leap.
Yes, take that first step.
But take it slowly. So.
Yeah, I think very good advice.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for being on the podcast, John.
Well, thanks for having us.
And
nice.
thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast.
Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast.
That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.